So welcome back to The Real Deal On. Our continued series is Reinvention, and this whole philosophy is about how we each are consistently reinventing different parts of us and ultimately our entire selves. One of the things we talk about in recovery is that treatment is not a diet. Right? You actually do have to do a lifestyle change. Absolutely. So what we're going to do is introduce to you one of our very good friends. He happens to be a Palm Partners alum. And the reason why he's here is not because he's an alumni, but because of the extraordinary things he's accomplished since being in treatment. And we're going to dive into his story now. So welcome, Matthew Williams. We can get some crowd music going on there in a minute.
Some backwards, some chatter there. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Definitely honored to be back here, especially with all the growth that's been going on with you guys and what you guys have been doing and giving back, which is huge. I am a Palm Partners alum. Came through this program in 2010, the summer of 2010, and started to see, flash forward, but starting to see what you guys have been doing, and it's been great. A lot of what you guys are doing is definitely combating what's been going on, and
doing our best.
The negative images that people have or thoughts people have about South Florida, which, I got clean here.
And you're still clean here.
Yeah, you get clean, you stay clean, and it's hard and it's a challenge, but it's awesome to see, champions of sobriety and people that are doing the deal and giving back to the community. So again, thank you guys for having me.
So you said thank you for doing that, and I'm some of this stuff I don't even know. Like, I've known you for years because we'll get into that story on how we know each other. The one thing that I did not know is whether or not you had been to treatment more than once. Was this, you did the one time with us, or?
Yeah, no, so I was working down here. I came down here. Obviously, my alcoholism and addiction stem back from a long time ago, but I was down here working at a job that brought me from the Northeast down here, and slowly it's, we look at the universal sense of humor. My brother always likes to point out that I got down here by chance, or whatever you want to call it, and came down here, was working, and again was in that cycle of my life was really good and things were going really well, and then I destroyed it all. So I was a big fan of building things up, tearing them down, building things up. Were you a fan of the building,
tearing it down, or just happened that way?
Not in the process of it, but now that I look back at it, it was it's exactly my pattern, and it was something that I didn't know I was doing. It was something that I learned while I was in treatment. But I was down here working, doing what I thought I was meant to do, and what I really enjoyed doing. What
was that?
I was a educator. I was a teacher. I was a coach, and I had done that for several years. I loved it. I worked with adults. I worked with kids. I coached different levels from elementary to middle school to high school. So just anything working with other people and getting to know them, and kind of giving everything I could to that, but at the same time not taking care of myself. So a lot of what that was I realized how selfish I was. I used it, and anytime I think of this, is I use that as oh yeah, I'm a teacher, I'm an element, I took it for granted. I took that position and community and working with others and coaching.
Well, I'm not that bad. Look at all the great things I'm doing. I keep my job. I'm showing up. The rest of my life's falling apart, but no one knows that.
Total rationalization of I'm doing all this, and that was my life. It was I came down here. I drove the car that I.
Where did you come from?
New York.
Okay.
Yeah, so Northeast. Everybody from Florida is either from New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, or for the most part. But came down here. I had the job that was sought after. I had a coaching position. I had a place right on Atlantic Avenue for the first time for the first couple months. Okay. I had the car that I wanted. I had the Jeep Wrangler, a soft top. You could take off the top. Living in South Florida, single guy, and I thought I had really arrived when I got here. And that whole, now that I look back at it, that whole lifestyle and that kind of what I had painted or what I had set up was just just a giant cover, you know? Like, I wasn't truly happy, I wasn't peaceful, I wasn't, you know, really appreciating what I was doing, and I took everything for granted, really, and you know, quickly lost it due to my less than stellar decisions regarding alcohol and chemicals.
Right.
So
then you ended up going to treatment, and to fill y'all in, the reason why we know each other was you were working here when I started here.
Correct.
So I learned after the fact that you were alum.
Yep.
So we didn't get the pleasure of working together in that capacity, but
Correct.
working together within the organization. You were, obviously you made the shift from going from treatment. How did that feel when you left treatment and you were now time to get a job and start getting back on track? You weren't coaching when we met, so
yeah, no one was hiring. No one was hiring someone, and part of being, you know, as a result of the program here and a result of, you know, the fellowship that I do outside of, you know, the treatment that I was able to do was, you know, being honest. And, you know, I was very honest with interviews. I was very honest with where I was. And
was there a part of you that didn't want to be, like, you didn't, when you say honest, did you share, meaning
yeah, I mean,
you
without
were in treatment, you were that kind of thing,
yeah,
in recovery?
in recovery, and alcoholic, and, you know, this is something I had to do. And, you know, it was actually really refreshing because I was always like that. You know, I have a drinking issue, I have a drinking situation, I have a drinking problem. You know, I would blame it on, you know, I wouldn't call it what it was. And I didn't know what it was until I kind of was around people that, you know, made it acceptable and made me feel welcome to say it.
Got it.
And
which gave you the courage to then say that when you went on your interviews and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And definitely got a lot of those like faces that were like, okay, you're providing too much information. No one's dishonest. Which, you know, to a detriment. You know, there were certain things that I probably could have omitted. But, you know, again, I was encouraged and suggested to be as honest as possible.
Well,
and
it's certainly a lot easier to maintain
Oh, yeah.
the honesty.
Absolutely. It kind of sorts out, you know, things that I should be doing and things that I should probably stay away from, or situations like that.
Right. I mean, one of the things that I'll share oftentimes with our clients now, as they're headed out, I'll ask, did you hide your addiction? And they always say, well, yeah, of course we hid it. I said, well, if you leave here and you hide that you're in recovery, what's changed? Like, how do you sustain that if you're lying about your recovery? And what does that mean if you're lying about it? You lied about your addiction because you were ashamed.
Right.
If you lie about your recovery, what are you saying?
I mean, it's funny. Like, I learn something every day, and like hearing it said like that is totally different. Because, you know, working with other guys in the program and working with, like, in a community and a fellowship of people, it's, you know, what is it that's holding you back, or what is it that you're still scared to say?
Right.
And sometimes, you know, I think you know, that fear is really tough. You know, and again, like, some people are like, oh, you speak out too much, or you say, you know. And granted, you know, I have today. You know, today I'm sober, and the days that have passed are great. You know, their experience. But, you know, like everybody said the corny saying, whatever. It's, we only have today. You know,
right.
And today I'm sober. Today I don't have a desire to pick up a drink or a drug. Today I have a desire to be a better human being. And those are some of the things that, like, I can be grateful for, even if I'm having the worst day. And that's what kind of gets me through. So I definitely think, for me, what was great was the honesty. And just kind of speaking my truth from what I knew, and not coming from a place of, well, you should do this and you should do that, because I needed to be told that while in treatment. However, I was also taught that this is your story, this is your truth. Find what works for you, and try to be as open-minded as possible for other people. And I don't understand a lot of other people and the things they're going through, but I'm open to it. And
Right.
it can be very frustrating when working with people. I'm sure, as you know, you work with them day in and day out, that you want them to get it, and everybody has to walk their own path. I can't tell you how many times people just beat against the wall. You know?
Well, one of the things, philosophies, to some extent we have is kind of the way you must work out.
From time to time.
From time to time, multiple times a day, I'm going to imagine.
Every now and then.
Yeah. And here's a question I have for you. If you were to lift those heavy weights, work out the same way, meaning the same behaviors,
Right.
but you didn't want to do it, would your muscles still grow?
Well, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So oftentimes, sometimes the as a trainer, as a coach, what we do is the same as exactly what you do, only a little bit of different lifting. It's emotional and spiritual heavy
Absolutely.
lifting is challenging people, right? I mean, when you're the trainer, you're like, all right, give me, like at your maximum weight till it hurts, till it burns,
Yeah.
till you've got no more, because that's where it's going to go. And even if they get mad at you, your job, your passion is to help them get results.
Absolutely.
So if that's the gig. So yeah, you want to shake them to get it, but the cool thing is what you do know is even if they don't want to do it and they do it, they're going to get the result. And then they'll start getting the references like, oh, cool,
Right.
yeah, that did work. Oh, I didn't die.
Yeah, the biggest thing too when you say the results is like I know when I got here, we're not in charge of the results, we're in charge of the effort. So it's like
Right.
I always look at it as like if you can direct their effort to something that works rather than as you said, emotional or behavioral issue where it's still doing the same thing and getting that result
Right.
is let's push it this way. I know one of the most uncomfortable things for me, and it was funny, I just read about it again today in a book that was like 101 tips to stay sober, right? And it was like get uncomfortable. And one of the biggest, most uncomfortable things for me was when we started the program here in the mornings. It was I didn't mind the group work in the morning, getting together and meeting with community. I didn't mind the quick little meeting before the whole day started. But then when we got in the room, in the meditation room, or now the kind of I don't know what you call it now. I saw it the other day. It's the big auditorium.
The auditorium, yeah.
Yeah, it's auditorium. Getting up and kind of moving and dancing and having someone drag you out there and just you think. It's like, my thought goes, oh, I'm going to embarrass myself, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And then someone had to say, listen, you're in a treatment facility, and your decisions and your thoughts got you here. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just try something new, and maybe you'll feel better. And there was days I didn't want to do it, and there was days that I did. But the days that I did, it was just that freeing feeling. And I used to make fun of it all the time. And there were days that I would do it and sit down and be like, oh, what's this guy doing?
So we'll key in a little bit to what you're referring to. So in treatment, what we do is every morning we start with club rehab. That's what we refer to it now.
There you go.
And there's a lot of science behind why we do it and so forth. And it's really not that difficult. It's not like we're teaching crazy dance moves.
Oh, no.
It's really just to get up and move. And there's multiple layers of science behind why we do it. And one of them is as simple, you just shared, I didn't want to do it.
Right.
And you did it.
Didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Still don't want to do it sometimes.
Right. And that's totally, totally cool. And sometimes you don't want to go to a meeting. Sometimes you don't want to go to the gym. Sometimes you don't want to eat that, healthy meal. Sometimes you don't want to do those things. But leaders kind of do it anyway.
Right.
They do it when they get uncomfortable. They know it's not necessarily going to feel the best doing it.
Get over that fear,
Right.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was definitely very uncomfortable, and still go to weddings and celebrate, such great occasions. Now you can't pull me off the dance floor. I love it.
Turns out you learned you didn't have to drink in order to go out on the dance floor.
Absolutely.
Another reason why we do that. The science
Absolutely.
behind it is real life. You get to train. It's like training, right? It's boot camp. So we want you to have a great life.
Absolutely.
So
we're not a glum lot.
Right. Yeah, how many, if you didn't address that, just think about it, how many, weddings and celebrations and graduations and stuff do you think people are either going to want to miss or white knuckle it and be pissed off at before they go, it's not even worth being sober anymore?
I mean, I can speak for myself as somebody that, before I even, when it was a drinking problem or anything like that, there was definitely times that I went to events and I tried to white knuckle it, and I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I would last an hour and a half, and then I'd see my friends start to get slowly more a little loose and having a good time, and I was so angry,
right?
And I was so afraid of missing out. And I remember clearly to this day one incident of literally going up to the bartender and being like, I haven't had any drinks for a little while, line up as many shots as you can that I'm allowed to take, and just boom, 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 boom. And then it was like off to the races again. Wow. And that wasn't in sobriety. That was just me thinking like, oh, I got a DUI here. I got in trouble with the law here. I lost this.
Maybe there's an issue to look at.
And
You're
it was
in the pre-contemplation
right.
stage.
And then it took what it took though. It took getting badly mangled physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, everything you can possibly think of. But I'm very stubborn. So it took a lot for me to...
New Yorker. Fellow New Yorker,
clearly,
I get where you're coming from.
And that's the beauty of coming into a program that's doing the deal,
So how long was it when you left treatment before you were finally like getting to work with your honesty and so forth? How did you navigate? Because you had a lot of opportunities to go through some interesting emotions, I would imagine. Being denied opportunities, maybe told that's too much information, we don't hire people in the program. I don't know what kind of feedback you got, but how did you navigate just that?
Coming out of the treatment program again, very, very grateful the fact that I had, my family at a distance, New York and wherever, my brothers were at the time with their families, supporting me like we're here to support you. Emotionally, whatever you need, like give us a call. But I had built up a pretty good network of people, like when I came here, one of my friends got me into this program. He was a therapist here, he's a therapist somewhere else, and he got me in here and he said, very clearly, he's like, you're not here, and this is kind of contradict the community aspect. He's like, you're not here to make friends how you used to make friends.
Right.
You're not here to, find girls. You're not here to do certain things. And I remember he's like, this is life or death. And like, it was the first time, again, I was really open to the suggestions of like, all right, this is what I have. I came in with, I'm going to do 30 days and like, I'll be good.
Right.
And I did 30 days. And I remember calling my brother and he was just like, you think you should probably do another 30? And I fought it, even though I knew I needed to stay. And it was probably a good idea. I still wanted to have a voice and not have someone tell me what to do, because obviously I don't like authority. And I fought it. And then that 60 day, 60, coming up on 61, and made the call again, like, well, and I asked the question, what do you think? And they said, well, you don't have a job, you don't have a car, you don't have a license, your place is, you're fine with your place, it's not going anywhere. But maybe you should give it another little bit of time. So again, I stayed, and it didn't have to twist my arm. It was like I was starting to come out of that fog,
right?
And that like, I don't need to control the show. I still wanted to hang on to a lot of stuff, of course, but I knew that staying at a place that had been helping me for the previous 60 days was going to continue to benefit my life, which is like I fought really hard for a long time, and I still there's days. If you fast forward, there's days that I wake up fighting, like what I know I should do, but then I play it out and I'm like, well, if I don't do this, I'm gonna do this, and I have responsibilities and commitments now, and things have completely changed from when I was a 28-year-old single guy that literally threw everything away in his life that he thought mattered.
Right.
So I think it's important, that the whole getting uncomfortable, the whole following that process of getting through treatment. And I know a lot of people, I've talked with guys that are like, man, I got to pay bills, I got this car, some that have families or going back to small children. I can't speak to that. I don't have kids. I've worked with a lot of kids, but I know it's totally different. But I know that if you're not taking care of what is important for you and your recovery, and being that selfish part, which a lot of family doesn't understand, right, for the most part. Obviously, if they come to a session and learn about it, yes, but that whole like selfishness in the very beginning and building that foundation is huge.
Well, and it's also a guided selfishness, right? Because
correct,
because
correct.
It's selfish to go, give me my phone so I can berate my family every day,
right?
Or selfish to go, you know what? I got to work on myself. I'm sorry, I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to come home right now because I know, because that's right. The families don't necessarily understand, and they're going, I need you here to come home. And I'm like, well, I haven't done the training for the marathon you're asking me to run.
right.
I can't do a 100-meter dash, and you're asking me to run a full-on marathon. It's not possible. Right. But people, it's actually to get this transference. They're being selfish, going, come home, instead of take care of yourself and so forth. And it's a very difficult conversation to have because, what's the saying? Two dead batteries won't start a car.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
See, I learned something else.
So there you go.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one before. I like that. I like that.
So it sounds like you did 90 days, or did you do even more?
Yeah, no, I ended up staying just about 90 days.
Wow.
And it was the end of the summer, transitioned. And it was funny, I had some opportunities. Again, I went on a couple interviews when, I was trying to get back out and, somewhat not laughed out of the office, but thank you for all the information. We'll call you,
right?
Type of thing.
And
but
did they?
no. But I really did stick to a simplistic job. I had some very, very basic skills. In kind of preparing food and making food, and it was kind of like before the whole meal prep thing was going on. I had like big meal prep thing down here, which companies have, and you see them all over the place now. I worked in a kitchen for about 2 months.
Was that humbling for you?
I worked in restaurants and served and bartended.
Okay.
It wasn't super humbling, but it didn't require much thought, which is great.
Okay.
And I don't want to say that food preparation and cooking is something that requires...
No, if you already did,
right.
I get it. You wouldn't have to think about it. I just was kind of wondering, did you have to go through those feelings of like, I'm starting over, I'm having to go back and... like I was up here, and not that, again, food prep is down here, but you could perceive it that way if it was something that felt like to you going backwards.
Right. So if you looked at some of my friends were like, dude, you went to grad school, you got this degree, you got that degree, you're in a kitchen, 20 to 30 hours a week. I was like, right. And all those great things that I accomplished through a lot of sacrifice and a lot of people helping me along the way, I didn't really care about. Or I cared about it at one point and I let it go.
Right.
And I didn't honor it. So I never really had that problem with that. It was, when you're out there, for at least me, like drinking and drugging and the whole thing, I always had money, but it was nothing. I was never saving anything.
Right.
So when I started to make money again, I felt like, man, all the money I lost. And I started to get, there was some shame and there was some regret, but, I didn't respect money. I was taught, well, you didn't respect it before, so why should you have it now? It was great. My license and my car were, I completely destroyed my car and my license was taken away. So I didn't honor the fact that at 16 I got a chance to drive, and along the way I thought that drinking and driving was a great idea. I'm ashamed to say it. Thankfully I never killed anybody, but made a lot of poor decisions. So that was gone. So it was how to get to certain places was how to get to the fellowship and the meetings were the most important.
Right.
Then how to get to work. Then how to pay my bills. And then how to continue to do that the next day.
Right.
Without letting myself get in the way. And there was times where I wanted to do things that I had done in the past, but I couldn't afford to do it. So again, it brings you back to why did I do this in my life, and where am I at? And
right.
I blew it all. I'm the worst. And
so when you started going down that path, how did you interrupt that pattern and kill that monster while it was little?
I had, like I said, great support. It was call my support group.
Great.
Call a bunch of guys that
you took action.
Yeah, I didn't sit in it. And again, there were days where it's let me sit in this because I'm going to do it, and that's just what I'm going to do. And it was a very unproductive day.
Right.
But the minute I picked up a phone, or I got to a meeting, or I got to talk to someone professionally that had given me their number, hey, if you need anything, give me a call. It would kind of get me out of that. And I talked about it. I wrote. I can't tell you. I've journaled pretty much every single day since before I got to treatment. And it was really weird because after the last situation with drinking involved, where everything was taken away from me, I remember going into work 2 days later after getting out of the glorious gun club jail.
Hokey.
Yeah, out of getting there, and again, not a place I'd ever want to go again. I remember sitting down, as I mentioned, I was a teacher. Towards the end of the year, there's some testing going on. I remember kids were taking a test, and I remember just pulling out a notebook and I just started writing. And I saved every single entry since that day.
Wow.
And I've looked back at those, and I just see how dark, how sad, how depressing, how I really was feeling started to come out.
Right.
And then when I started to talk about it, and I was like, we joke about it sometimes, I was interviewing treatment centers to see if who would take me. Of course, you know, that's what I had to do to make, like, I had a choice in the matter. But I would tell anybody, like, sitting in a room, everything that I'd ever done, anything, and it just felt good to let all that, like, those years of, like, just, for lack of a better word, crap, just pour out, and kind of start to get over that, like, you know. So again, you know, like those, I still, you know, some of the things I'm sure we'll chat about it is like what I do today is stuff that I learned when when I started coming around here. And it wasn't things that were like revolutionary. It was just like, hey, try this, or hey, try this. Maybe, you know, maybe this will work.
Right.
And it was like suggestions for the good, not like, hey, you know, try drinking, you know, a bottle of Jameson and, you know, washing it down with, you know, some other chemicals, you know.
Usually not a very sustainable strategy.
Right, so the solutions changed, which was great. So.
Right, well, that's what we talk about, the 3 pillars: state, strategy, story, right? State is how you're feeling.
Right.
Drugs and alcohol, not the problem. They were the solution, or in other words, a strategy to change how you're feeling.
Right.
And then you've shared it multiple times, your story, right? The story that you're telling, like, or more importantly, the story that you are now writing.
Right.
That you're writing from this day forward, like consciously designing, which you've been doing, like tremendously.
It's been incredible, yeah.
Yeah. So we cut ahead. You overcame some emotional challenges to get yourself there, and then you did get a job here.
Yes. So I worked a couple different jobs up until I had to wait. There was a couple of things, and there was a job offered to me. I think it was like 9 months, almost a year sober. But it was an overnight job. I'm an early morning guy. I had to, it killed me, but I had to turn it down because I couldn't do overnights 5 days a week. Yeah. And I had to wait. So there's other things going on, and I had, you know, a lot of, again, you know, I worked for one of the students' fathers, gave me a job in his sales office. I'd never done sales before. I worked for another family. I was training, you know, I was starting to bike places, and I was starting to get back into the fitness side of, you know, I never let that go. I'd gotten into some really good shape here with like the actual sleeping and sleeping the recommended, sleeping the recommended hours, eating a healthy, you know, meal plan, going to the gym here, getting active, you know, everything that was like when I was here really contributed to what I was doing. And, you know, I continued that, and it wasn't like a new thing for me. It was just something that once I removed the drugs and the alcohol, I started, you know, things started to actually, I was like, oh, that's what that, all right, cool. Like, that's good.
About that
I forgot it, yeah.
Breathing, that's nice.
That's good, it feels good. But I think, you know, we get to working here, and I got to be on the other side of it. I got to work with families calling in or seeking help. I got to work with a bunch of people that have been doing that for several years and kind of learn how to help people and where to direct them. If they couldn't get help at a certain place, how to get them somewhere else or recommend something. So I learned the other side of it. And the other side of it, there's a lot of businesses down here. You know, like this place did well by me. You know, I learned a lot here. I received a lot of guidance here, like not only from like the therapist, but also, you know, when this was a smaller place, you know, I sought out one of the executive director who was kind of like running the show at the time, and you know, I didn't like hearing it, but it was like, Matt, put your hand down. You're not the teacher. Matt, close your mouth and listen. You're not in charge here. And I didn't like it, but like I needed to hear it.
Right.
And you know, I got to really ask questions that I never really asked before, and I was able to kind of relate that experience to the person on the phone. And relate that person's to, you know, an email or other people that if you knew me growing up, a lot of people are like, how are you still alive?
Right.
There's no way you're still alive. Because when like I dropped off the face of the earth, when going into a treatment program, I had no communication outside really with anybody other than my family at certain times. So some people were like, brother, I thought you were dead. Yeah. Or, you know, were you in jail, you know?
And
dead,
you were.
Jail, and all those things had happened. Fortunately, not dead, but
right, of course. Yeah.
It got to the point of, you know, I love what I was doing, and I'm very much like I'm a true alcoholic addict. I want more.
Right.
And you know, throughout the path, it was like I started to explore some other areas that I really enjoyed, you know, in the health and wellness side. And, you know, I was fortunate, you know, ended really well with working here, still do some work and you know, talk to the people that still work here that, you know, are doing what they're doing. Obviously, you know, getting to know you and Heidi and, you know, some of the other players that have come through here that have stuck around, that are actively changing the community. And even people that left, you know, like even I still stay in touch with people that moved away and are doing this somewhere else or doing this, you know, in their own life, in their own community.
Right.
So it kind of gave me the foundation to explore other options, which is great. And it was supported. It wasn't like, oh, you're doing this, you're not focused on this.
Right.
You're not focused on doing this for us. It's, oh yeah, cool, man, yeah, do that.
Right.
And I was able to walk away from Palm Healthcare, you know, with a handshake and a good luck, you know, and sad to see you're going, and if there's anything we can do for you, very, very nice.
Yeah.
You know, just like when I walked out the door as a client, I walked out the door as an employee, it was good luck to you, whatever you need, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, we make the commitment to clients who go through here. You stay clean and sober for a year, come back and come work with us. We don't want you back. We do not want the clients back.
As a client.
As a client,
right?
I mean, even though sometimes it appears that certain centers, there is recidivism, right? There are people who don't get it the first time, and it may take a few. And we say, we will love you, and we will take care of you, and you know, help you get it right. But really, we want this. We want a shining example of leadership going out there to inspire others to show what's possible. There's nothing more important to us than your success, because then we all win.
Right.
And we support that. And I know a lot of centers get a little, sometimes, it's just businesses in general. Someone leaves and they start their own thing. Sometimes people get a little bent. They're like, hey, you know, you're a valuable part of the system, and you know, we need you. It takes an adult to go, I hate to see you go, and what can we do to help you?
Right.
How can we support you?
100%.
And I'm so blessed that they have done that, because you know, it's a testament to where our core values are, that we still do celebrate you know, the successes of everybody. That's our goal. So you ended up going off and starting your own thing, complete reinvention. So what was the inspiration, and what is it that you're doing now that is really doing more of the same, which is helping people?
So about a year, it was kind of while I was working here, I started making my, you know, again, frustrating, you know, as it was, like I had some experience, you know, making some food, and you know, not a lot of money at the time, and you know, it was just like, well, what can I do? I started making my own snack bar. I didn't know what it was. I would just make it, throw it in a bag, and I was biking everywhere, so I had a backpack or you know, a duffel bag and strapped to my back, and you know, from working here, and you know, as I said, working overnights was tough. I did do a couple overnights here, so there was certain days where I could go train and still coach some baseball on the side, because there was a couple parents who were like, hey man, we understand what happened to you. You were good by our kids, and they gave me a chance. So when they didn't have to, and they said, hey, you know, come out. You know, we'd love to, you know, have her train our kid at, you know, a park at Boca. You know, we'll be there. We'll bring some kids by, coach them. So I started to get to coach again. And slowly I started. You know, my girlfriend at the time, she was from the area, and she said, oh, you should call, you know, so and so. I haven't talked to them, but you know, they have people. You know, I have some young kids that, you know, may need some help tutoring. I was a teacher, so I was like, all right, I'm going to use the skills that I was fortunate to get, and, you know, do something to give back and meet people. Right. So, you know, I was biking everywhere, and, you know, at one point I was training this girl, and, you know, we were taking a break. I was like, I'm going to grab a bar. It's hot. We're outside, South Florida. You know, I have a bar. She said, well, what's that? And I was like, oh, it's just a snack bar I make. And she said, "Want to try it?" I said, "Well, I'll ask your mom. Like, I don't know if you have allergies. Like,
I'm not even sure what's in it."
Yeah, I knew it was in it, but like as an elementary school teacher, you got like nut-free tables.
Oh yeah.
You can't have this and gluten and this and that. And I was just like, "Go ask your mom." And she asked her mom. She said, "Yeah, she's fine." So she ate it. She's like, "Wow, this is really good," and it was healthy. So, mom, you know, after finished training, the mom was like, "What did you give my daughter, and why did she eat it?" She's very picky. She doesn't like it, and it must have tasted like candy because that's what she likes to eat. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is the bar I make. You know, she's like, she tried it. She's like, this is really good. And she was in PR and marketing. And she was just like, well, what do you call it? I was like, I don't call it anything.
I call it my snack bar.
Literally out the door. See you next week. Thanks for everything. came back the next week. She goes, I've been thinking about that bar. I want you to show me how to make it. And I was like, oh, I just do this. And yeah, like ended up bringing back, I had it already. And she said, I think you have something here. And I was like, again, a year and change sober. I was like, okay. And she's like, well, how do you make it? And I said, this, and it's like a frozen treat, and even though it like rides in my bag, it doesn't melt, and I can always put it in and out if the fridge, whatever. And I was like, so it's like a frozen protein bar, like FroPro. She looked it up. She's like, oh, well, I can't use that. She's like, well, what if you did, like, if you're going to a site? I didn't know what she was doing. She was just sitting in her computer like she always was when I went over, and she bought a website, and it was called gofropro.com. And she's like, congratulations, you now own a website. You own .com, .edu, .us. And I'm just like, oh. I was like, great, thank you. Okay. And she goes, now go test your product. I was like, and I'm like, what? What product are we talking? She's like, your bar. Take your bar. Like, this is how, like, I wasn't getting. She's like, take your bar and give it to people and see what they think. A year went by from that conversation.
You didn't give it to anybody?
No.
Okay. Were you still coaching?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, she's a busy woman.
Right, okay.
She was there, like.
So she figured you were doing your market research when you weren't talking about it.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about it. And I didn't do anything because I was afraid. I didn't have a car. Confidence was a little still very low. I lost my, I wasn't a teacher anymore, but I was still doing these things. Like, even though I was still kind of coaching and teaching and doing other stuff, I wasn't doing it at the level of like, oh, I'm a teacher at a school and I'm a coach at a school. And like, I was that label. And then I was fortunate enough, one of my friends opened a gym. And it was right around the time that I got hired at Palm Partners. And I said, well, I want to do both. But that means I'm probably going to have to work 7 days a week. Started with Palm, went to the gym, and at the gym is where I received my platform of members coming in and giving out the bar without anybody asking, or I said, well, what is this? Oh, it's a local product. Let us know what you think. People would write things down. People liked the bar. And one of the ladies in the class owned a juice bar, which was just starting to become popular down here. Juice everything. Yeah. And she said, well, this is really good. I look at it, I can't eat it because it's not plant-based. And I was like, what does that mean? She educated me. Right. And she said, well, I'd like to try this if you try with plant-based protein. So I figured out how to do it, made it again. Brought it back. Tasted a little different, tasted like a healthy dirt, if you will, because I wasn't a plant-based guy. Yeah. I was, whey protein, all this stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. And she says, wow, this is great.
This is great dirt.
This is great dirt. But she said something like, wow, this is really good. She goes, I own a juice bar. Bring me 100 this week, and I'll sell them for you.
How many had you made in like when she said 100, what was that?
Maybe like 10. And I was like, I don't really know how to do that. She said, well, you're smart.
Figure it out.
You'll figure it out. Figured it out. Took the time. Wrapped each bar in like a plastic wrap. Put a sticker on it. Said FroPro. It said Protein Snack Bar. I didn't even use the name yet.
You forgot about all the marketing.
And I brought it to her. And of course I'm thinking, oh yeah, I call my friend who's a lawyer. I'm like, do I need a contract? I don't know how this works. Like, am I going to get taken advantage of? And they're like, oh, if you want a contract. And they sent me this like 15-page thing because they were just trying to protect me. I walk in there. She's like, that's cute. You don't need a contract, Matt. I'm just trying to help you out. I'm going to buy these for this. I'm going to sell them for this. This is what you're going to make. And I was like, I kind of like.
Or you did profit sharing right from the get-go?
I did the math, and I was like, okay, that covers my costs and my time. Okay, cool. Yeah. Don't think of it. Leave. 3 days later, Matt, great news. I sold out all your bars. People love it. I need 100 more. Oh, and I want you to go talk to my friend here. Okay. Make another 100 bars, go talk to that friend. Friend was like, oh, these are great. I'll take 50 of these bars. So like little by, I want to ask you, little by little or little by slowly? What do you like to say?
I've never heard little by slowly.
I keep hearing it, and I don't get it.
This is a new thing. Have you heard that? No. Have you heard anybody? Comment below if you're watching still. If you, I don't know how long people watch these things.
Little by slowly, little by little.
I've
always said little by little, and I've heard little by slowly, and I'm like, little by slowly.
Slowly.
Anyway.
Not infinitum, I digress.
Right. And so it just kind of went that way, and from what turned into like a part-time thing, working at Palm Partners, working at Fitness, and I just had this little thing on the side. And this little thing started to build a little bit. My girlfriend at the time became my fiance. She had nothing. She had her own job. She was running a helping, working her way up in a jewelry company, and it just was one of those things that kept building over here.
Right.
While I was focusing on what I thought I was supposed to be doing because I was a professional.
Right.
And then I started to kind of see this grow the more I put time and effort into it. And I really enjoyed coaching, and I really enjoyed the professional, and I had to make a decision.
Right.
I'm running myself ragged 7 days a week for a year or two, and I was getting tired.
And that's not healthy.
Right, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I was like not running the races and all the things that I wanted to do, and my personal life was like always work, kitchen, this, boop, bop, boop. And I made a decision to walk away from Palm Healthcare. Really hard. I don't want to say it was one of the better things I could have done, because then I focused on my personal training, and I dove into personal training and classes and group fitness, which allowed me to kind of have a free schedule other than the classes I adhered to, which was I could work as much as I wanted with my clients as long as I built my book up, and I could also do FroPro.
Right.
And then we kept going and going and going, and then FroPro started to grow. And the other one was, are we going to grow here, or am I going to give more attention to FroPro, which at this point needed a lot more help.
Right.
And I chose to walk away from a place that I trained at for 5 years.
Wow.
And it was really hard because I was training, it was like everything overlapped. It was Palm/FroPro, and then it was /FroPro, and then I got FroPro, and it was like, okay, I still got a lot of clients, and I love working with people. I was coaching without being a official high school baseball coach.
Yeah.
I was coaching people and working with people and listening to them and learning from them. And I was like, all right. Well,
did you find you were naturally attracting people in recovery as well, or was it everybody in your training?
It was pretty much everybody. It was like it was word of mouth. Like I wasn't going on like, hey, I'm looking for this or that. When I started, yes.
Okay.
When I left Palm and I was here, and it was like, hey, I'm now not teaching classes. I'm doing personal training on the side. Love to, if you guys are looking for help, let me know. It was great. I had a lot of, again, community support. People like, hey man, I'll give you a chance. I got to help a lot of people. Yeah. I learned from some of the best. I researched. I was shown things. I went to other gyms and learned how they did things and read, and that's what I was encouraged to do with other things. So it's like apply that to this, and it grew. And then it was a point of, okay, I have my clients and I have I have my clients and I have FroPro. Let me step back and take clients a certain period of time, step away from that group setting because I need to focus, and I don't like putting anybody out to dry. Or, it's like if you're part of an event, you got to go away for a weekend to be with your wife and your daughter. It's tough because someone has to step in your shoes.
Right.
And it puts people out, even though, again, a lot of people that work here, no one's going to do it like you do it.
Right.
And it was tough. I walked away from that and just focused on FroPro and training.
Right.
And at that point, my wife was running the company for several months. We started working together. We started growing it and giving it all the attention that it really needed. It still doesn't have all the attention. She runs it full time. We work together.
It's just the two of you? Do you have any staff?
It's just the two of us. We have a guy in the kitchen who has been with us for a while. He's great. It's part time. He has his guy with him, and they help us out. We brought someone else on, and like my goal is to eventually grow it to a place where I'm working with people and hopefully having some people that are interested in something like that out of treatment as an opportunity. It's not there yet, but it's getting there.
A franchise?
No, just having people like being able to, I don't want to say hire, but being able to bring on somebody that maybe wouldn't have been given a chance somewhere else, say because of their legal history. That I would identify with as, someone that had a long struggle that's doing the right thing and doing the deal and being like, hey man,
just need that break.
Come figure it out with us. Like, let's help you out. That's my goal.
Right.
Right now it's, there's like 5-6 of us, just part time. My wife and I are full time. The other 4 are part time, and they're valued, and they are what makes what we are doing now possible.
Right.
So I think I would have never dreamed of being here, ever, if I had, number one, not gotten help, or received help.
Yeah.
If I have not lost everything, been badly broken, and hit, as they say, the bottom.
Right.
Sometimes the bottom is a tough word to say, but that's what it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their own. But
Yeah.
I had to learn it the hard way, lose the license, lose the car, lose the job, lose the everything. For me to even attempt at listening to what you had to say. Because you always there's always, why do you keep doing that? Man, what are you doing that for? That whole emotional appeal of people being like, we love you, stop doing this, why are you doing this, you're gonna die. And a lot, unfortunately, don't make it.
And I'm sure you heard things, and you knew this as well, like while you were active, like, man, if you only put 5% of the energy you're putting into managing your drug of choice and all of that into anything,
right,
you'd be so successful. And when you're in that state, when you're active, you're like, screw you, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. This is get out of here.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the amount of time, I don't want to look at it this way, but the amount of time I wasted, and that how my mom always says, she's like, you have so much potential. That's just.
But maybe you needed that, you just shared. Maybe the shift of the meaning, right? We say nothing has any meaning except the meaning you assign something, is that right now you just shared that you needed that. Those were gifts for you to prepare you to do the work you're doing now, to have the impact. You've got the energy, you've got the experience, you've got what could happen if you lose it, whereas oftentimes people just go through life kind of in the middle. They don't really succeed, they don't really fail, they just sort of,
And there's days that are like that, though.
Days is different than a life.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I felt like I was doing, but not like this. It was just going this.
That's usually what it's doing, is going down, right?
Because, constantly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, I think, being vocal about what you're doing and being real about it. Mm-hmm. Again, it's not every day I wake up and it's I have a healthy attitude because I share about when I'm not, and I get it out, And when I have a really good attitude, it's I'm just everything is awesome. Mm-hmm. I joke about, my friends always like, how's your day, man? Awesome. And I'm like, yeah, actually it is. Yeah. It is. I'm not scraping by. I'm not, searching for something to make me feel better. And that thought. And
you're living your life out loud. You're married. You've got an awesome relationship.
That's crazy. Didn't think that was ever going to happen.
And you're working together. Yeah. Which also, that's a whole other level of.
You get it.
Yeah, I get it. Yep. And I'm hoping. I don't know about you. I feel so incredibly blessed to have that, and I know it can be intimidating as well, because it does create more opportunities for learning and growing, which some people don't like.
Right.
Right. And
challenging. But there's so much reward in it for me.
And me too. And I think it could be for everybody, and that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. And maybe we'll have. Well, Heidi also is the real deal is bigger than just this. This is the beginning. Yeah. But Heidi's going to be doing it, and we're going to be doing a couples retreat and doing stuff like that. So we'd love to have you guys be part of it.
Nice.
To be sharing success formulas. The only reason why people, I guess, get successful is, like you shared, is by finding someone who has what you want and going, how'd you do that?
And it's funny you say that, because while I was here, I remember I got, a couple books and things, and I remember it's man, textbooks, I'm back in school. It's recovery school. This is ridiculous. I'm the teacher, I'm not the student. Yeah. But I remember getting some books, and some of them were motivational, some of them were more the self-help. And, I remember I approached the director, the owner, who at the time was an office in there, and I remember my therapist at the time was couldn't find me, and was going over, you could hear it, where's Matt? Where's Matt? Where's Matt? And I was sitting in there with him, just kind of talking to him. Mm-hmm. Clearly, he knew what he was doing. Mm-hmm. Clearly, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if this guy's running a company and growing something, and he's had experiencing doing this, and he's in recovery. I was like, clearly he knows what he's doing. So
And it's possible.
So I knocked on the door. I was like, hey man, you got a minute? I'm sorry, I'm one of the clients here. And he's like, yeah, come on in. You know, I found that most people that I've asked, I've even called like some of my old friends' fathers back that I grew up with that I probably would have never talked to in that way, like other than like, oh, did you see the game, or like, you know, like that, and be like, how do you live here? How did you get this?
Yeah.
Because I want it. I want something like this for my life. And every time I've asked, they've been like, some have said, well, I was at the right place at the right time. I made the they've said certain things. But
being in the right place at the right time still means you got to take action.
Right. And then they go into what they actually did and how they got there and what they do to stay there. And that for me was great. Like I still, you know, sometimes I get lost in it like most people do on their phones. I watch like Gary Vee. You know, like he's in your face. Not a lot of people like him. A lot of people do like him. And you know, watching him and just like he's very raw. You know, and
his
like
messaging is to me so brilliant. It's what we, you know, it's basically what we teach, but with a lot of cuss words.
Right. No, exactly. and well, you know, cuss words get people. You know, like I'm not.
Right.
But I remember I was watching him interview the guy, and I didn't see who the guy was. It just kind of came on Goalcast or just, you know, those videos, and the guy that he was talking to said, he goes, and this is a little morbid, but it was like, if the fact that you're going to die, doesn't drive you to do what you love, there's something seriously fucking wrong with you. And I was like, oh, okay. And it's true. It's like at some point, tomorrow, hopefully not, a week, year, years down the line, eventually we're not going to be here. And it's what do you, and his whole thing is like legacy. What are you going to leave? It's not how, you can't take the money, you can't take the house, you can't take the girl, you can't take the car, you can't take any of it. It's what are you going to leave?
Right.
You know, and I learned that a lot here too. It's like, what are you going to leave? So I look at that as like, yes, do I have a great tasting snack bar? Do I love what I do with my life? Yes, but what am I doing for the person that was where I was back in the day? Because someone did it for me. And it's like, if I'm not doing that, then that's when I'm being selfish for the wrong reasons.
Right.
You know, and I'm, like I said, it's like, it's awesome to be able to do this and like, come and share that, and like I've seen some of the videos and like some of the hard, thankfully there's a lot of things I didn't experience while I was out there because it wasn't around or invented yet.
Right.
And some of the stories are just like chilling.
Yeah.
But like, today for me is amazing. You know, like it was a slow day for me. I had a couple clients, I get to, like normally I'm packed because I love to do stuff. And then that's the other flip side is when do you take some time off? When do you take the foot off the gas?
How do you know? So that's a great question because there are going to be you're going to probably relate to a lot of people who are the go, multitasking. Okay, so I'm going to work full time, go back to school, going to do all this, and that's not sustainable either.
Not at all.
So how do you know it's time to treat yourself and sort of unplug?
For me, it's usually I'm not sleeping as well.
Okay.
I'm rushing. I find myself rushing. I'm not time managing, and I will call myself out and be like, I did not properly plan. That's why I am late, and I apologize.
Right.
But yeah, definitely, if I'm rushing around a lot, if I look at my calendar for the week and like I have a certain thing for work, if I see the whole thing blocked off for work, I have to say, wait a second.
Okay.
Okay. Where is time with, I know where my program lies. My program is always lit up, that doesn't change. But my work can fill in, just because I love what I do.
So you still do fellowship work? Like, are you doing?
Oh yeah, no.
When you say program, is that what you're referring to?
Like if I'm going to fellowship groups, like I have my days that I go to certain places, and
so you're still active in that.
Very much so.
Great.
Because it said like if it's working, why stop doing it?
Right.
And there was a time when I was like, well, I don't need to do as much. And it was a couple of days before, my wife or even myself, I didn't feel right. She was like, you should probably.
Is she in recovery as well?
She's not.
Beautiful.
She is not. And she's very supportive of it. If it's if it's an open fellowship group, she'll support and come. And she knows a lot of the people that I know in my support group. And it's a really fun community. And it's great when I have I'm not the only unique one from New York that comes down here. There's a bunch of people that have come down here and get to experience what the change is.
Right.
and get to see, you know, how life can be different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it sounds like it sounds like corny, but like
So
life is different. You know, and the way I see things in the perception, I do pretty much the same thing every day. And if I have a bad day, it's my perception.
Mm-hmm.
Something's off, and that's another indication of maybe you're doing too much.
Right.
Maybe you need to pump the brakes. Maybe you need to go for a walk on the beach. Maybe you need to go boxing and let off some steam. Or maybe you just need to sit. One of the things I'm really trying hard to do is do a little bit more yoga and meditation where I have to sit still. I don't do well with that.
It's challenging.
Like
yeah, I get it.
sometimes I'm even sitting in this chair, I'm like, I need to stand up and do something. But that's not what this is. You know,
Yeah.
it's you're in a different situation, act accordingly, and start to like understand and breathe and calm. So, no, those are definitely indications for when I know it's time to take a step back and be like, what are you either running away from or not acknowledging,
Right.
or are you doing too much and there's nothing really underlying? You're just excited what you're doing and you're not planning your time accordingly.
Yeah, because you still got to fill the gas tank.
100%.
You just keep going,
It's
but if you don't
okay.
stop to get
Yeah.
the fuel, it's not going to work.
Correct.
Wow. This has been amazing. So moving forward, you have FroPro, but now you're also expanding it.
Yeah, so
You have yet another business that you're adding
right,
to
so
your arsenal of.
it all kind of goes together, and it's
Right.
not like something that's like kind of out of something that, like, I'm not just pulling it out of the sky.
No, of course not. But you're using your strengths, but it
Right.
still needs energy, needs attention.
And it's working with different centers to provide the experience that I had when I was there.
Right.
And if they don't have a proper fitness or wellness program, talking about what they should be doing or could be doing to incorporate, the gyms, the classes, the yoga, the massage. Most places do have chiropractic care now. Acupuncture. Some of the things that there are a lot of successful people out in this community alone that do those things, that find that that's their passion, and are willing to share it.
Right.
So everything kind of is like that synergy. Everything kind of goes hand in hand. It's like, we have a healthy snack bar, yes, but the message behind that is you can do anything you want. It doesn't happen like this. And a lot of people are like, oh, they see it's like it's come along. A lot of people remember when I was doing it and it was just like hard, and they're like, man, I don't know why you keep doing it, but I understand it. Good luck. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of sacrifice, but it's like at the end for me, it's worth it. Because I'm going to be able to hopefully one day get this to a platform that's shared with everybody and says, like, you can start over. You can make a comeback. You have a second.
Right.
Some of us, it's not even a second chance. It's
Only.
the only chance, and sometimes it's the millionth chance, but whatever chance it is, if you go for it, yes, there's been failures. Yes, there's been accounts that are like, listen, man, you're great. I don't want to carry it. Okay, and move on. Next.
Right.
I've had the naysayers poking holes in it. But I love it. It's what I love to do, and no one's going to stop that.
Well, and one of the things you just sort of shared, a couple things. One, you look back and you said, oh, look at all this time that you could go into this. Look at all this time that I wasted,
Right.
For nothing. Now what you're sharing is, look at all this time that I've invested.
Right.
That, again, same thing, the sacrifices you made. You sacrificed your car, your job, your relationship, all of that.
Yeah.
For one thing, now you're just using it. Say, okay, if I'm going to make some sacrifices, because that's what it takes.
Right.
To be. I mean, you got really good at drinking and using drugs, right? So
I could have been a professor.
you could have been a professor at it. So you're using that same philosophy of just going for it and taking massive action. And if someone turned you down, you were looking to get your drug of choice, and they told you no. What did you do? You went somewhere else.
Found it somewhere else.
Yeah,
100%.
You're just doing the same thing,
Right.
Which if people struggle with addiction of substances and their life gets that bad, because our philosophy is everyone's an addict. We're just choosing the right ones to get to the next level.
That's another thing. I like that.
Wow. Thank you. Is that people could then go, oh my gosh, this is such a skill set, my ability to throw my entire life away.
What does Gary Vee say? He says, what does he say? Triple down, quadruple down on your skill set.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be something you're not. And again, I'm giving him a lot of credit, and there's so many other ones like when I came here, that book that I got was a Tony Robbins book.
Yeah, Waking the Giant Within.
You know, and I experienced that here. I experienced that.
We went together. We went to the event.
We went to the event, and it was like I got to see what was going on, and it was like, you know, in no way was like I can do that, but I was like I can do that on a level.
But
I can do that on a certain level.
That's it. Doing that meaning just being yourself and going for it. Anybody can do that.
Right.
Like that's what Gary is saying too. He's just like find what you do, what you're passionate about, and live it. Just kind of triple down on it. Just go out and do it. And like this is a great example. Like this is number 12 or whatever, right?
12 is a good number.
Yeah, I mean it's still just in the infancy, and the only purpose is to help people.
Yeah.
Like to inspire, to show, to celebrate leadership, to help kind of hopefully end some bit of stigma attached to addiction.
That'd be amazing, man.
Yeah, that people go, oh man, I can do this, and I don't have to wear this kind of scarlet letter that I struggled with addiction, and that I went to treatment, or that I lost my car, I got arrested, I spent time in jail, or whatever it is. Go, man, it's a badge of honor that I've overcome this, and I can use this to take my life to the next level and show others what is possible.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that you said, which I wanted to sort of circle back to, is you went in and you spoke to Pete and you found other people, and you're just like, hey, just going out and finding successful people and ask them. I have rarely found somebody say, no, I don't want to share what I did. I mean, unless they're like super busy, it's not that I don't want to share. It's like, I don't have time. We have to schedule some time. It might be in 3 weeks. It might be in a month, whatever. But almost always successful people want to share their success formulas.
And it's interesting you say that too, because it's like when that person, or if anybody, it's like if someone asks you that, chances are you don't make it. If I know you and you know me, if someone asked either one of us that question, chances are you wouldn't make them wait 3 weeks. You'd be like, let me clear the next hour. Let's talk.
I'm using guys like Tony as an example.
100%. Oh yeah, of course. Like, but it's just like, and that's the thing. It's just like the fellowship. It's like, hey man, I'm struggling with this. What do you think? If I have experience in that, I'll be like, yeah, well, this is how I would relate to that. But you know, it's like if I can't relate, I can't relate to being a parent. You know, if someone asked me a question about being a parent, I'd be like, well, he's a parent. You should talk to him.
Exactly. You know? And that's the other thing that we all do. And successful people, if it's something they don't have interest in, or not interest, but expertise in, they would say, you know, who you need to talk to is, this is my go-to person on that. He's the best at, or she's the best at, yada, 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 whatever it is that you're interested in.
And that's just like doing something else, when you're in the community. Like, you go to the best dentist. You go to the best trainer. You go to the best gym for this. You go to the best gym for that. And there's just so many things that you can go and share and just be like, well, I do this. I go here for that. You know, like, could be to eating. Well, where's the best taco? There's a lot of good tacos down here, of course. But it's like, well, I go here on this day because of this. Well, I go this day because of this. Or I go here to get this. And it's that connection, that community that builds it. And then that person says, oh, well, so-and-so told me you should come here because it's awesome.
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, that's great. And it creates that, like, really good feeling of, like, everybody's here. It's just like that, like the corny saying, but I love it. It's just like people helping people.
Yeah.
And that's what I always was raised in community.
Right.
But I never really understood it until, like, what happened, if that makes sense.
And then you did it from a much more leveraged position where bigger things at stake.
Right.
One of the things I just kind of leave with this as well is, and you shared some of the challenges you've been through. Oftentimes people think they wish they had no problems. And problems are a sign of life. Like if you don't have problems, start praying for them. Right, because the only people who don't have problems are the people who are dead and buried, and we don't know what kind of problems they're having.
Right.
But my hallucination is as you go back, as you shared with your journal and all of that, you look at the kinds of problems you were dealing with then versus the kinds of problems you have now.
Right.
Much better problems.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't. It's funny, we don't call them problems. You know, like one of the things I pulled from that first book, and when I was working with the people here was, it's not an argument, it's a spirited discussion.
Spirited debate.
And we joke about it.
Yeah.
My wife and I will joke about it now. There's times when it's just like the communication's down, and it's, all right, what do we need to do? Maybe take some time, collect ourselves, do it, but like everything that everything that is a result, like like I don't want to say the word problems, but everything.
AFGO. It's an AFGO. AFGO. Another fucking growth opportunity.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't even know what that means. Check that one off too. Yeah. So growth opportunities. Like you're looking at those, and sometimes we joke about it. It was like living in a room, freshly sober, with a bed on the floor, no TV, or TV with like just played like Step Brothers DVD over and over again, no car, a bike, and just a couple of dollars. Like those are some really happy times where we dreamt of what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now that like we're here and we're doing really things that like mean a lot and like trying to be as best as we can, it's like we look back and we laugh at that and we're like, wow. And like, wow, it'd be cool to go back to that. I don't want to go back to that. And I love where I'm at right now, but it's like, okay, what's true fashion? What's next?
Right.
And that's kind of, I don't know if you teach that, but it's like, well, what's next? And it's not like, I'm done with this, I'm not being present. It's, well, what's next? Looking for, what's in 2018? Like I'm already thinking about, what does January, February, March look like of the first quarter?
Right.
What am I going to be doing to improve this aspect of my life, this aspect of my life, this aspect, and this aspect? And how do I get ready for that? Who do I talk to about that? Where do I go for that?
Yeah.
But also staying in okay, we have 3 months left in this year. How do we make this the strongest 3 months that we've seen all year?
Well, that's the temporal challenges that we all are navigating, right? We want to be present and celebrate what we have, and it's okay to want more from a place of, again, when you're really clear about why you want stuff, right? Everybody wants stuff, and it's just stuff.
Right.
It's not the stuff that we want. It's how the stuff will make us feel.
Right.
So if we keep present to the emotions, the states that stuff is going to provide for us, we can continue to do those things necessary with the state that we're wanting to experience, and then create a vision of, okay, I want more love, I want more contribution,
right.
I want more, and then you're just naturally taking yourself there while experiencing what you want in the first place. So you're able to enjoy and be present with everything that you're doing now, while going, how can I live, give, and love even more? Presupposing you're doing it now because you are doing it now, celebrating every moment, and you're just expanding, you're growing, and that's nature, right? And being okay with that's growth. That it's our duty, it's our responsibility to grow our vessel as much as possible, be as abundant as possible in all ways, so that we can give it away, so that we can help others, so that we could give it through emotional, spiritual, and if you have it, financial, effectively. That provides even more opportunities, provides the jobs, provides the experiences. And then we realize that this whole journey has been that spiritual illusion that we've been just sort of fighting until we give up the fight and go, I'm okay with being right here, celebrating it and wanting more, because nature is abundant.
If you had a microphone, I'd tell you to drop it. That was great.
I took this off.
Don't want to do that, though.
Sorry.
Don't want to break that. That was awesome. I like the word abundant, and like, again, it's another word. We don't joke about it, but it's like life is live in abundance. You hear a lot of like yoga teachers will say live in abundance, practice in abundance, eat in, like it's whatever. And like you said, it's like whatever you're able to give.
Yeah.
Whatever you're really good at, whatever you're really passionate. It's like do what you really love to do. And if you're doing that, you're not like you're not working a day in your life.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to do that and make money and support myself. And it's like, I don't know how to really answer that question. Maybe you do.
I don't know how to answer it that people would appreciate. I remember when I was in the music industry, I was at a conference, I was speaking at a conference and Chuck D was one of the panelists. And someone asked us a question like that, like, how do I make money in the music industry and blah, blah, blah. And he was one of the first people to say this. He's like, don't do it for the money. He's like, just do it.
Yeah.
The money will come when you're not looking for it. You never know where it's going to come, but you just got to be present, do what you do, and people are going to be attracted to your presence, to your passion, and then figure it out. And that's been one of the hardest things that we all deal with because we're so used to that like direct reciprocity.
Oh yeah, do
right?
this,
Like,
get this. Yeah.
Right, and it's not. It doesn't work. The universe doesn't work like that. The universe isn't the mafia, right? Like,
I like that.
I give to you, you give to me.
Right.
Like it just doesn't work just like that.
Right.
So, and that's the other thing. People think the only way you could give is with money.
Right.
But your most valuable asset is your time, is your light, is your, your skills, and the fact that you're here giving of your time, that you're spreading your light, you're sharing your story. That could be the one catalyst that changes that one person's life that you never know when it comes all the way around, that when you finally have children, that person, without even realizing it, comes back and does that special conversation, that special something that then turns your life completely around. And if we're not open to that sort of philosophy, that it's not about the money, it's about the service, it's about being a servant leader, the money will come, and that's totally cool. You got to know your worth. And if you're just doing it for the money, it won't be sustainable. And people will know. You wouldn't be able to do what you did with FroPro if it was just about money.
Well, I mean, yeah. Yeah. I laugh every time because it's like, people are like, oh, you're doing really well in this and that. It's just like, it costs a lot to run a day to day.
Yeah.
But what's even more awesome is that, again, the community, the people that have been involved, even some of the people that were involved that taught me a lesson about what not to do, are important. And those are like the worst situations, but like the best teaching, because it's not like the failure. It's just you hear it too. It's like, it's not failing. I'm learning. Nothing. I'm not failing at anything. I'm learning what not to do, or learning what to do this way to make it better.
That's how you learn how to walk, right?
Yeah.
You failed your way.
Yeah, that's true. The whole Rocky, you fall down, get up.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's the same thing. Failure is only feedback. Failure is just an opportunity to change your approach. Failure is a growth opportunity. It's your relationship with failure that people struggle with. When people fail, what is their relationship? Does it make them feel like crap, or does it make them feel like they just learned something?
So you just got to change that perception of what that relationship is.
Yeah, knowing that in order to be masterful, you got to suck first. There's some people who seem to pick it up pretty well. There's some people,
there's some that just run with it, and it's like, man, you can't. It's like golden child.
God bless them.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's great.
But that's pretty rare. Most people, but here's the thing, it may even just appear that way, but we didn't see what was going on before even that, right?
You watch like some of the guys that are built something incredible, and they're like, I don't think anybody understands, for 20 years I was eating dirt.
Yeah.
And like not doing the things. Like Gary Vee's big on that. Tony's big on that.
Yeah.
Like all these guys are big on, you guys see it now, and the bright lights and what we're doing, and stages and events and this and that, but like it started in a room, it started in a meeting, it started in a community hall, and it was a guy or a couple people getting together and just kicking around something. Whatever.
I love that. I mean, that's so inspiring when they do share that, but no one wants to hear it.
Right.
Tony still sometimes will talk about how he did this one big event, and he was just planning. He got a big room. There's supposed to be like 300 people there, and like 4 showed up. Right, and it's happened to me.
Sure.
And it's still May. Right, we're still out there. Yeah. We're not anywhere near where Tony's at yet.
Oh yeah.
And so that's pretty cool too. We don't like it when it happens, but when it does, the only thing you have is go, oh, this is going to be a cool story.
Yep.
One day I'm going to be able to share this. Like, we had this event, we were expecting 100 people, and 20 showed up, and but we still put on. We still gave our all. We still did everything. And what did we learn? We learned maybe some marketing techniques. Maybe we learned, don't use this philosophy, use another. Don't book, a room tomorrow for the gig.
Right. But you also, it's funny, like, we had a charity event the other night, and a bunch of people said, oh, I'll be there. Rain changes some people's minds. Not sure where a place is, even though South Florida is a huge grid, and everything's easy to get to. But the people that came out, the people that showed up, the quality of like, hey, this is for a good cause. This is why I'm here, and they didn't have to donate money.
Right.
They just donated their time, just showing up. Like that means more than anything, I think, for me, and what we're doing. Like these races that we're doing for recovery, races for military heroes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like the people that show up and understand why they're there and why they're doing it, and maybe they have a different reason for doing it than we're doing it.
Okay
but
too.
it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, because I've been to those events. I've been to the, hey, bring your tent by, there's going to be blah, and you get there and there's like 2 people, maybe 5, but you get to meet some of the vendors.
Yeah.
You get to meet some other people, make some connections. It's always an opportunity to be like, hey, yeah, even though like there's no one here like looking at our stuff or eating our snack bar or trying out this piece of workout equipment or meeting with a counselor, whatever.
Yeah.
It's still like, well, what do you do, and how do you do it, and what do you like? You ask those questions.
Building team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, any last advice to anybody who's maybe been through similar situations? Anything advice that you would have needed to hear through some of the challenges you've been through, the opportunities for growth? Is there something that you wish you had heard, wish someone had said to you? Maybe there's a way, and I know we all say from this vantage point, no one could have said anything, I needed to do it just like this. And if you had a child or someone that maybe you could sort of help avoid some of the opportunities you had to grow from.
Man, I mean, one that always like comes to the top of my head is don't ever give up. It's we've said a lot of, like, again, I don't mean it corny in a bad way. It's just people used to say,
cliches,
like,
because it's true.
Right, they said just don't ever give up. There's no reason to stop moving forward.
It reminds me, and we could leave this, and I want to hear how we could get in touch with you. Jay-Z, once I saw one of those, like, it was, I don't know if it was a teaser saying, like, coming up, Jay-Z gives his secret to success.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, I love hearing, people's formulas. I always want to find out what are some little tweaks, those little tweaks that could help get you to the next level. So I'm not a huge Jay-Z fan, but I don't, that's not, so what? He's successful.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's just because I don't like the music doesn't mean I don't like what he's accomplished or anything. Unfortunately, people get so wrapped up into, I don't like his music, so that person's a jerk, or I don't like his, whatever.
Forget the
or
fact
the other way
that
around, I don't like the person, so I don't like their whatever.
Right.
So, I'm like, all right, waiting for Beta Breath. Commercial comes back, and he's like, okay, what we did was genius. I'm like, all right, cool, bring it on. He's like, it was genius. We never gave up.
Wow.
That was it.
You know what I heard one the other day? It's a video went viral, and it was, I made my bed every day. And I was like,
the military guy,
But I get that. I mean, I don't make my bed today because I'm like the first one out at like 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
But
it's a metaphor.
I get it. And it's just funny. And those are the things. And it's like coming in here, it was a lot of, one guy, and this guy's been through the ringer and, suffering from past decisions, is sober over a long time. And he would always say, and I communicate with him, he's in jail right now. And he'd always say, Matt, stay big. And I was like, stay big. And he's just like, never shrink. Be humble, but stay big. Like what you're doing, what you're believing in, what your message is.
That's brilliant.
And I was like, and for a guy that has been, everywhere in the world, has much money, and this beautiful family, made some poor decisions and ended up where he ended up. But even to this day, communicating via an email or when I visit, my brother, stay big, I love you. And I was like, boom. Still being said, blows my mind.
That's your mic drop opportunity.
Boom.
So how can we get in touch with you? You didn't show your logo here, hat. You can show it, but
I normally don't wear this forward, but FroPro, you can reach out. We do a lot. Run Well is a charity we work with. It's basically an organization started by a husband and wife, raises money for people that can't afford to go to treatment or treatment facilities with drug or alcohol or mental illness. So that's who we ended up partnering with last year for the New York City Marathon. You can find us on Instagram at gofropro.com or just gofropro, Facebook at FroPro LLC. You'll see awesome pictures of people in the community. You know, we have other links to those in there. I just don't want to list them all, but you know, again, it's
plug in.
It's something that, you know, we are fortunate to be able to do, that we've been given the opportunity to do, that we're going to continue to do as long as we can, which is just continually give back and, you know, believe in all those that loved and supported and believed in us. So, again, man, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Love you for who you are and who you aren't.
For who you aren't.
Indeed.
Yes.
So thank you so much for playing with us. Check out anything Matt's doing and get in touch with him and see if you can get on board and support any of their missions, because we're all here to be sure that we're ensuring healing and positivity so that we can all enjoy and live in abundance. God bless.